true. Yeah, because, like, did I ever think I would be with another woman? No. But I didn't even want to be with men after a certain point either, so I was like, nah, I'm over it.
Yeah, and it's not until you have that interaction, like I'm sure when you held hands or embraced or kissed for the first time, that is something in you just feels different.
Yes, I was very nervous, I was like, I'm like attracted to this woman, but I was like, wait a minute, like, I had to really sit with myself and my thoughts and be like, okay, are you doing this because you're curious, out of curiosity? Because I think that happens a lot too, with straight people, especially straight women. They might go and just mess around with lesbian with a lesbian woman because it's just out of curiosity. And I think that too is kind of
And then for guys too, it's like, how do you know if you've never tried it? Can't say that you're not unless you've tried it.
Yeah, and my thing is, I mean, maybe if I would have met a girl, maybe in my teens or whatever, maybe I would have been attracted to her at that time. But at that time, even as a teenager, I wasn't boy crazy. I was not boy. I was like, get away from me! Don't touch me! Don't even look at me! Stop! Unless I got pretty lit, then I was like, I guess. But for the most part, I mean, growing up, like you, Soph, I wasn't pretty enough. I was different, Like I have the same background as Soph. I come from a deaf. Both of my parents are deaf, but I was with my mom majority of the time, So I didn't really have she didn't have a man, around.
Right.
So it's more comfortable, yes, to be around another woman because we can identify with a lot of things at the same time. However, it's also a little harder too because there's always, well, unless there's that competitiveness or I don't know, it's just, it can get messy at times and it becomes a little overwhelming.
It's funny the way you were with guys. I was like that with girls because I grew up around so many men. And there have been times where I've been around men and they'll be talking and they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, that was like, and I'm like, please, I was brought up around a bunch of bikers, and I don't mean a bunch of pretty boys on Harley Davidsons, okay? I was brought up around bikers. I've heard it all. And so I've always been very comfortable around men. And growing up, I was more in all honesty, I was more comfortable around boys. I had probably had more boyfriends than I did girlfriends because I was never a girly girl.
Yeah, and
growing up, it was so weird. I was such a tomboy, I even to this day, I joke and I say, most girls played with dolls. I played with auto parts. My grandfather had a junkyard in his backyard, and it was the best playground, That was my stomping ground, and just always being around guys. So I was much more comfortable being around guys. And then it was painful because growing up, I didn't fit in with the girls because I wasn't girly enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I was very tomboyish. Like, I was like, what's up? What are y'all doing? And even till this day, I'll say, what's up? And they're just looking at me, and I'm all, all dressed up like a girl. I'm all, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and that's it. And no, I go through the same thing because I'm very girly now. And like I said, I love hair and makeup. And then I became a makeup artist, and I loved doing all of that. And really, when I went back for my high school reunion, this is what a difference it was, is I was actually voted as the most changed when I went back for my first high school reunion, because people remembered that girl who was such a tomboy, and then here I show up to my high school reunion. I'm a flaming redhead, looking like Jessica Rabbit in my vintage dress, and people are going, what the hell happened to you?
Well, look at this girl. And that's the thing too, like, I can hang out with dudes all day, but once you kind of like cross that line and you're like, hey, I'm like, oh, whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
like,
take it there.
oh, now you made me feel weird. Because I'm all no.
Because I was just being your guy
And
friend.
I was like, what's up? Like, who cares? But now you took it there, and I think that's where I get like, I don't know. And I think I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't want to mess with guys after this. I'm good.
Well, I mean, there's like you kind of know when you first start talking to somebody where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Like you really honestly know where it's going to go or where it's not going to
Well,
go.
I'm not trying to make it go there, but sometimes I get too friendly and I'm like, hey, what's up? And then I think sometimes that too gives that wrong clue. And then that guy's like, oh, well, you were really friendly with me. And I'm like, no, I was just like really being your friend. I wasn't trying
No,
to
I
flirt.
have to
That's-
agree
that's-
with her because I was clueless.
That's when you're dealing with like people that are not aware of anything themselves or whatever.
Right.
They're just there for one sole purpose, and
Well,
that is
to get in your panties?
yes,
Or get in your
to
tortas?
hop in the sack. Because like me, I was, I grew up and hung out with a lot more girls, but I also knew like that's all it was ever gonna be, and that was the boundary that was made. And once in a great while, something would develop between me and somebody, but in the end, it was like hard to cross that threshold and be like, okay, well, let's try this out, because it was, bad experiences of just dating other people and knowing how messy it can get. And that's how, you decide also, do you value the friendship or do you want to see where it goes? But then if you try to see where it goes, then there really wasn't that much of a friendship if it falls apart. Because I found out, like, a lot of my best friends, not a lot of them was Lucy Saka, but like some select one or two, like, yeah, we explored it, but then at the same time, we really both sat down with, this is also a very mature conversation, and said, it's not going to work. Like, I love you too much to do this.
Yeah,
with
because
you.
because then you find a different side of them and you're like, I don't like this side of you. I don't like this side, like I don't know, like I just...
Yeah, but then there's like some people that you're just like completely platonic with. Like there's nothing there, and that's who you realize this as you get older. Like my 20s were messy.
You were all over the place,
I was
weren't
all
you?
over the place. I was bouncing off the walls. But it's shaped me and my gender, my sexual orientation, and my gender identity, because like I have never considered myself like feminine or like a woman, even though like I have like long hair and stuff. But that's just me being native. But then like when it came to sexual orientation, I'm just like, if you make me happy, we're there. Like I'm just like, I'm not like, are you a boy or are you a girl? Like there are people that I've made strong bonds and connections with, and sometimes we agree that it's just sexual, or sometimes it's just friendships.
Yeah.
It's just really, you can't really get to that point unless you're really honest with yourself about yourself.
Yes.
And it's just being an adult and navigating those kind of lifestyles and decisions. Otherwise, you're just going around
And just hopping in the Segway with...
Yeah, and also messing with people's lives, like messing with their lives, and the fact that like you start developing feelings, and that person develops feelings for you, and you have to sit back and think to yourself, like, could I truly fulfill a relationship with this person the way that they're wanting and needing? And would they be able to vice versa do that for me?
Yeah.
And that's the part where you have to be real with yourself as far as your sexual orientation and your gender identity, because like guys see me and they're like, oh, you have real soft features, very voluptuous lips, long hair, and I'm like, whoa. I see where you're going with this, but no. Like, I don't see myself like that.
Yeah.
And that's just, if that's what they like and that's what they see, it's all fine, but that's for them.
All right. So, the next question. I was gonna ask, how has your sexuality evolved over time, but we've all pretty much said that right now. So let's go on to the next one. So the next one is, how do you navigate having multiple identities, like your racial identity and your sexual orientation at the same time?
Well, I have multiple personalities and identities, but it's also true to like when you really think about it, like how everybody sees you. Like people see you differently.
Yeah.
No matter what, like the people at work see one side of me. The people I used to work with see one side of me. People I went to school with, my family, my other friends, they all see a different version of me.
Yeah.
But that's based on, like how close we are, how we relate to one another, how much we can be open with one another. Like, I think you're one of the few, not one of the few people, but one of the main people that can see me unapologetically, and like I can just say and do whatever. In the same way, like we confide in each other a lot.
Yeah.
So like with me, I'm like full scale Jerome.
Well, and it's like what you were talking about earlier. It's because you're so comfortable with yourself that I'm comfortable with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy, It's like, you know what? If you like yourself, chances are I'm going to like you too.
Yeah.
It's
And
like...
see, I work with a lot of youth, like younger groups, and I don't really push I'm considered like their supervisor and whatever, a lead, but I don't ever push like my sexuality or even my gender, anything on them. Like, we are simply there to work. But there also comes a level of letting them know that I am human and I have the human experience, and that what you're saying is part of your human experience. What you're experiencing, what you're having difficulty with, that is your human experience. That is part of you growing up. And I will relate to them and counsel them and talk to them and talk things through with them. But in the end, it's like, this is for me and that is for you. And they kind of understand it, but I also tell them, because they're like all under 25, I said, 25 is when it happens. Your life changes.
I had a client, this is when I was a young hairdresser, and I don't know what I was talking to her about. And she looked at me and she was like, honey, I hate to tell you this, but you're legally stupid up until the age of 35. And I'll tell you what, I understand where she's coming from. And years later, I was taking a class, and there was a woman who was older than me. I was in my 40s at the time. And then we had a young girl who was in her 20s. And she came in, she was going through some things with her boyfriend. And so she would come in and she'd be, oh. And my teacher and this other woman are looking at each other like, okay, here we go again. And I was like, isn't life funny? I said, to me, I look at people now and I think, like, when you're in your 20s, some of us are just looking for that other person. Who's that other person that's going to fulfill me? La, 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 la. I said, and then you get into your 30s and you're all about your career. It's like, I got places to go, things to do. I says, then you go into your 40s and, like Cher said, you don't know what the hell to do with yourself. Do you go camping for 10 years? Because you don't exist in your 40s. And I felt that. I said, then by the time you get to your 50s, you're like, oh, I'm so over it, It's like, can you leave me alone? And now in my 60s, I'm like, yeah, the curse of being old, I don't sleep in anymore because I can't. I have to take a nap to get me through the day. And you're just like, so, by the time you get to this point, it's like, so what? Growing up, for me, it was really hard because I grew up in the barrio, but because my mother was deaf, Spanish was not my first language. sign language was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so different from the other kids, but you couldn't have told me that because I thought I was like everybody else.
Mhm.
And when you're a kid, you so much want to be like everybody else, but I wasn't. And it was sad because growing up in the barrio, I had Spanish kids who didn't like me because of my skin color and my eye color. And I even had one kid's mother tell me, "You're not like the other kids around here. You're very engringada," which is whitewashed. She thought I was very whitewashed. Meanwhile, the white kids didn't like me because I had an accent. So I mean, I was like screwed, you know, and I remember having this talk with my nephew one time because he grew up and he had African American features and he had really curly hair, but he was very light, and I saw him going through the same thing. And one day I sat him down and I said, "You know, I can relate to you." And I said, "And let me tell you something. Look around." I said, "Look around for the other kids who are loners." I said, "Who aren't hanging out with the group, who aren't part of the in crowd." I said, "Do yourself a favor and get to know those kids, because 9 times out of 10, they're very interesting."
Yeah.
Very interesting. And why? Because they didn't have their looks, they didn't have the clothing, they didn't have all the in things to make them part of the group. And I said, and I've always said, you know, I would never change the way I was brought up, because if anything, I couldn't depend on my looks.
Right.
So I developed my personality. And I said, and if you go after those other kids and make friends with them, you're going to find your niche. You're going to find the people you can relate to. I said, those are I said, I love the loners, and I'm a loner to this day. I'm not part of the group, and I like that. I am very comfortable. It's like I always said, hey, I don't need company. I got me, myself, and I.
Oh, I can make myself laugh. Driving in the car, I'm laughing by myself.
Yes.
I'm like, oh.
I'm my own entertainment section.
Me too.
And I always used to say one of the things I loved about my mom is, I mean, I don't care if you had green stripes with purple polka dots.
If you could communicate,
sign to my
then
mom,
we are
she was
friends.
like, oh, we're alike.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I grew up. I love that. And I wouldn't change that for the world. And that's kind of how I look at people now. I'm like, a little bit of kindness goes a long way.
Yes.
Don't shut a person out because they're different.
Yes, and that's where, as you and I are codas, I feel like this question right here, like I wear many hats.
Oh yeah.
Very many hats, you know. But I also understand it in the deaf world. It's like you said, spot on. If you could communicate,
you were one of us.
It doesn't matter.
You were one
and,
of us.
And I was used to that because my mom had friends from, they were all different races, and that was the norm. But then I got into the hearing world, and I was like, oh my God, everybody's racist. Like,
I stood up like a sore thumb.
You're too poor. You know, you wear the wrong clothes. You talk different. You look different.
Oh, I got made fun of because, I mean, and into adulthood, I would have other girlfriends look at me, girl, why do you use your face so much?
Oh, yes, so you know
why do you use your expressions? And it's like, well, you know, don't deaf people, if you're having an argument with a deaf person, obviously you're not going to hear it in their voice, but you're going to see it in their eyes.
You're going to see all the movements.
I used to say, you know what, my mom can stop a vicious animal in their tracks with her body language alone. I have very strong body language. I still use my face. I'm very expressive.
Yes.
You know? And I think growing up, some of my best friends were black women. And I think about that now, and it's like, well, dang, they were like me. They're very, you know, I've always gotten along with people who are very, very expressive. It's like, that's normal to me. That is normal to me. It's like, oh, I can relate to that.
And I think that too falls into it like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna go there.
Go there.
The gay men. Because some of them can be, like the more flamboyant ones are very expressive, very,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't, I'm just like, okay, I get it. But because I'm that person too.
Right.
You know, and my energy comes and I'm like, I'm going to show you and I'm going to do all my faces and I'm going to, I do a lot of body movement with my facial expressions, like Jerome. I say, hey, Jerome! And he'd be like, oh my gosh, he's talking to me. I gotta come here, because like, calm down. And he'd be like, oh my god, this girl has too much energy. But
that's also like one of my personality traits is like I have a time and a place for my different energies, my different energy levels. Because sometimes like my very far out, funny, happy-go-lucky, whatever self of myself is a bit too much. Like, not as saying that, you know, you should always hold it back, but it's like, damn, Jerome, where have you been this whole time? But, you know, it's just like Native people we're not like that.
Right.
We are very solemn and quiet.
No, stoic.
Unless we're together.
Yeah.
Then we're like a bunch of like, we're just loud but you know, amongst other people, we're very observant, very quiet, and to ourselves. And that's just, you know, like there's a time and a place. Like people know me as being like a jokester, somebody to have fun with. You can make a nice little make jokes and have banter with here and there. But then they also know that when the rubber meets the road, like you get that other side of me, the serious side of me.
I know, I've seen that serious side. He'd be like, Maria, and I'm like, okay.
But see, that has to go with
It's like
having multiple identities, because like who I am as a native, as an indigenous male, Pueblo male, and that, to be specific, is like there's still that side of me that still has to be somewhat humble and quiet, because I'm also there to listen and there to understand what is being said. And that's just how I was raised. Like if you spoke out of turn, like you were shut down immediately. And you know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but at the same time it also gives you a chance to say, like, did I really need to say that? Did that really have to be said? Like maybe it's like that for me. And I think you can probably see it watching this podcast, watching this video, I am thinking as you are talking.
Yeah, he's like, And me, I think okay, so if we are deaf hearing people, that's us. And sometimes I don't think I'm just going to go, and I'm oh.
Well, it's like what I was talking about earlier. I said, you know, I never understood why I was different from other kids. And it wasn't until I got older and I started thinking, okay, I get it now. You know, when I was young, I was always accused of being mean, of being outspoken and all this stuff. And I think to myself, no, you know, that's just a cultural difference, because in hearing society, let's say you haven't seen a friend for 10 years. And when you see this person, they've gained a lot of weight or whatever, and you would never come out and say, whoa, what happened to you? You know, it's like, no, you might come around to saying something, but you're going to say it in a very diplomatic way, a very nice way, and gently. Deaf people aren't like that.
They're going
to look at you and they're going to go, woo-hoo.
Yes,
you know, it's like, what happened?
I know.
You're big, you know, and it's like, and that is normal. And that is how I grew up. So, you know, going out into the world, other kids would just look at me like, dang, you are really outspoken.
Yeah, but even as an adult, even now, like, even right now, like when I get around, I haven't been immersed in the LGBTQ community. Because I don't know, I would be like, what is wrong with you? Like, but then I have to remember, like, are they just outspoken like deaf people are, or?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody, because I've met different individuals that are at different levels of being within the community. Like, there's the people that just live their truth. I'm here, take me as I am. And then there's people that are like they have that are basically on the down low. They want to be a part of it, but at the same time, they don't know exactly how to fit in.
Like me?
So they just stay on the sidelines. And then there's the ones that are, you know, taking part in it, enjoying everything about it, but they're also in denial that they like it. So when it comes to being a part of the community, like there is some, you know, internal messed upness about it because, you know, with that we're supposed to be wanting to be accepted, but we're not very accepting
Of each other.
of each other. And that's because, you know, it's gotten to the point, like we said, talked about all the different sexual orientations, identifiers, gender roles. Like, I have met some very feminine men, very loud and very outspoken, but then they're very prejudiced against trans.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't understand where you're coming with this because you want to live your life how you're living it and be, you know, in this gender role and be in this gender identity. But then when somebody else is doing it, just because it's not for you, you don't want to accept it.
Right.
And, you know, the way I am, like, I'm chubby. I'm a thicker guy.
It's just muddy to
That's
love.
just more to me to love. But, you know, like, what I get a lot is, like, people are with their orientations, like, they like that. But then there's others that just can just see me for me. And those are the ones I really gravitate towards, not the ones that are like,